and welcome to A God Shift with Shayna Rattler. I am a minister and life coach, and I help individuals partner with God to embrace disruption and confidently enter the next chapter of their life. A God shift is the moment that a disruption in your life collides with God's purpose and moves you into a greater destiny. God uses this disruption to get our attention and invite us into the life that He has planned for us. It's important that we discover what it is that He wants us to see, what we are to learn, and where it is that He needs us next. Today, we are going to be discussing whether or not fear or faith is operating most powerfully in your life. When coming adversity or any type of God-sized dream, it is very easy to confuse fear and faith. Why? Because they both have the same definition, and that is believing in something that has not happened. Since they are so similar, it is very easy to make sure that you are feeding both. So here are some key strategies that you can use to make sure that you are feeding your faith and sabotaging your fear. Number one, you have to be able to identify that sometimes fear can actually be disguised as faith. Now, this one is going to shock you. Prayer can actually sometimes be a sign of fear. Now, I'm not by any stretch of the imagination trying to recommend that you don't pray, but oftentimes what we're really doing is using prayer as a form of procrastination just to keep from being in action. So yes, we should pray. Yes, we should consult with God, but we have to make sure that we're not just defaulting and putting our fear and our doubt off on prayer. Number two, recognize if your faith is deepening. And here's how you do that. You have to be able to recognize that your faith is going to stretch you, and I can almost guarantee you that it is not going to make sense in your current context. Number three, be willing to take risks, because this is where you make room for God to work. And then number four, you have to make sure that you stop preferring to wait. You know what I'm talking about when we say that we are waiting for our circumstances to be ideal or perfect. And then the other thing about waiting is that we have to be so careful to make sure that we are not making an idol out of confirmation. Because what we're really doing is we're just wanting God to repeat Himself when He has already said what we know He said, but we are full of doubt. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, I cannot wait to introduce you to the dynamic guest that I have that is going to help us break down disruption even further. We'll be right back.
Ready for a God shift, God shift.
Get lost in the pages of our latest book and discover the destiny you were created for. Another dimension of possibility awaits you, but a God shift is required to reveal it and access it. In A God Shift, a divine move from disruption to destiny, Shayna Rattler takes you on the journey of how she turned a once highly successful business that failed fast and left her questioning where God was taking her next into a thriving ministry and fulfilling life that affords her the opportunity to help others grow their faith and successfully navigate the seasons of life. This inspirational guide outlines the steps to confidently put your God shift in motion. Your next chapter is waiting. Are you ready to shift? Grab your copy at agodshiftbook.com. Are you looking for ways to support the God Shift movement and others in need? Grab one of our premium tees at agodshift.com/shop, and we will donate 20% of the sales to the National Christian Foundation. These t-shirts are made of 100% premium soft cotton, come in white women's fit and black traditional fit, and are available in sizes extra small through 4X. It's time to embrace disruption, collide with God's purpose, and confidently shift into the next chapter of your life. Share your shift with the world by proudly wearing a God Shift t-shirt. Grab one for yourself and those you love at agodshift.com/shop.
Ready for a God shift, God shift.
Welcome back. My guest today is a pastor and an executive director of a women's empowerment organization. And today we are going to be discussing disruption and how you successfully navigate difficult seasons of your life. Welcome to the show, Pastor Mia Wright.
Hi, Shayna. Thank you. Thank
Yes.
you for having me here.
Yes, thank you so much for being here. So before we get into this conversation of embracing disruption, tell us a little bit about what you do.
Well, as a pastor, I really serve the community. I serve the people that God sent to our church, as well as people within the community, the congregation, to really help them find faith. And faith also gives us hope. And then the second part of what my passion is, what I call my passion. I said one pays my salary and it pays my position, but the other really pays my passion. And that's with the Metamorphosis Women's Empowerment Conference. And the organization really helps women and girls to really tap into their life's potential, to find out what they could possibly have as a God-sized vision being fulfilled in their lives, and to help them see the steps that are necessary for them to take in order to fulfill those visions.
Yeah, I love that. And so I'm assuming that it's safe to say that in your role as pastor and in your role as an executive director of this women's empowerment organization, that you probably have talked to people who have had some disruption in their life. So what would you say, how can a person take disruption and actually allow it to be beneficial to their life?
I really like how you place it and the words using disruption, because all of us will encounter something in life that will, as we go along in life, along the plan that we have put in our mind of how things should be, all of us will experience something that does not go along with that plan. And it disrupts what our vision or what our thought could be for ourselves. I often tell people you have to learn to embrace it. Sometimes you have to ignite it, and then you have to make those changes that are necessary to live out your purpose. In igniting it is one of the things that has to happen when you recognize you're living in a situation or you're experiencing something that you say, I can't continue this way. I can't continue to stay in this circumstance in the manner that I am. I must make a change. And those are things that you're not necessarily responsible for. Those are things that have happened to you, things that others have imposed upon you. And you have to make those changes because you'll take those steps that are necessary yourself in order to change your life. But then there are other times in life that we have to embrace those changes. And that's when a loved one dies. That's when you're laid off from a job. That's when you wake up one morning and you realize that your bank account is empty and you want to do something different. And so now you have to embrace where you are and say, now what is necessary? What does God want me to learn in this moment? And then how will God help me to move forward? So embracing it, igniting it, and then moving forward to live out the purpose.
Yeah, I love that. And, it reminds me of the fact, that in the word that it tells us that everything works together for our good. Yeah. But the thing that I really want to remind the audience of is when you're thinking about how are you going to embrace it? How are you going to ignite it? How are you going to move forward? It's important to remember that the how is none of your business. The thing is that the only thing that God needs of you is your yes. So if you're sitting there asking yourself, well, how do I do this and how do I do that? You really do not even have to take the time to try to figure out, how do I do what it is that I need to do? Because what I believe is that when you are overcoming disruption is that God is really saying, concentrate on who it is that I need you to be. Like if we can focus on who it is that I need to become, I feel like the doing takes care of itself, and then you're in a better position to even be able to identify what it is that you even need to be able to do next.
You're absolutely right, Shayna. And if we take that word, how, a three-letter word, H-O-W, and begin to transform those letters to W-H-O, and understand that who, as you said, is who do I want to be? Who should I be? But it's also who is going to help me. And it's looking at the bigger picture, which is the God in you. It's understanding that God is guiding me. I always say that you plus God make an amazing team. You're going to go places when you really trust the hand of God to move you in your life. And so you can see different things come about because you're not focused on how you're going to do it, but who is going to help you to do it. And so, like you said with the scripture that, all things are working together for good, you also begin to believe that I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength.
Absolutely.
And so he will give you the strength to get where you need to go.
Absolutely. This is getting good, y'all. We're going to take a quick break. But when we come back, we're actually going to discuss what can get in the way of your God shift. We'll be right back.
Ready for a God shift, God shift.
Get lost in the pages of our latest book and discover the destiny you were created for. Another dimension of possibility awaits you, but a God shift is required to reveal it and access it. In A God Shift, a divine move from disruption to destiny, Shayna Rattler takes you on the journey of how she turned a once highly successful business that failed fast and left her questioning where God was taking her next into a thriving ministry and fulfilling life that affords her the opportunity to help others grow their faith and successfully navigate the seasons of life. This inspirational guide outlines the steps to confidently put your God shift in motion. Your next chapter is waiting. Are you ready to shift? Grab your copy at agodshiftbook.com.
Prisoner of Hope introduces The Vault, a membership community offering a library of videos designed to prepare and support you.
Many others, including myself, have gone through the long battle with the American justice system and have come out on the other side.
The Vault was created by families impacted by incarceration, along with experts. We know how to help because we've experienced it firsthand.
Remember, there is always a light at the end of the tunnel.
It's time to unlock your freedom in The Vault. Sign up now at prisonerofhopetv.com.
It's time to move. Your next chapter is waiting now. It may be difficult, but it's gonna be worth it all. Get ready for a God shift, calling you higher, calling for greater. It's time to move. Your next chapter is waiting now. It may be difficult, but it's gonna be worth it all. Get ready for a God shift,
Welcome back. I'm having a conversation with Pastor Mia Wright about how you embrace disruption. So let's go a little bit further. So Pastor Wright, I believe that there are a lot of things that can get in the way, right? If you're at one place and you're trying to get to another place, especially when you're overcoming something big, there are some things that can get in the way. So in your opinion, what are some of the barriers that you think come up when people are trying to embrace disruption and actually create a better life?
I think you being your own biggest barrier. I think the truth is that when a person is trying to make change in life, that there are so many things that come into your mind, so many things that cause you to fear, things that cause you to doubt, things that make you question, what am I doing and why am I doing? And then in addition, you have not just those voices that you have of your own, you're hearing other voices that are asking you these questions like, why are you doing this? What are you hoping to accomplish? And rather than being prepared to answer those things, we start to receive it as a question of doubt, and we intake it, internalize it, and make it like, oh, maybe I should not be doing these. So I think one of the biggest hindrances for any person that is overcoming disruption is themselves, is really trying to say, how am I going to overcome this, or with whom am I going to overcome it? Why am I going to overcome it? Why do I want to do this?
Yeah.
Your self-cognitive theory is just amazing because your mind starts to interpret things. You see other people doing things, and sometimes we think, oh, if they did it, then I can do it. And that is true. You know, it helps us to move and advance our lives forward when we really see somebody else succeeding at something. And so I often tell people, look for other people who have succeeded in this area, but don't compare yourself to that.
Yes.
Because we see people in their very best state, and we're in our worst state, and we think, I'll never make it. But we can start to see, you know, when somebody is advancing, somebody has done something very good, how can I take those types of steps in order to advance it? Then being very prayerful. I heard you say in your opening that sometimes people let prayer become a hindrance to their advancement because we want to wait on it. We want God to give us this megaphone voice saying, Shayna, I told you it's time to move forward. And we're waiting on God, but God is waiting on you. When God has already given you an advance, He's given you a directive, He's waiting on you to do it. The Word of God tells us that blessed is he that believes what the Lord has promised. Blessed is she who believes what God has promised will be done, will be accomplished. So don't miss out on your blessing by sitting back waiting for another
Absolutely.
yet another confirmation.
And you talked about something that I want to unpack a little bit further, where you were talking about others. One of the things that I have seen is that people have been shoulded on, right? So they have people in their lives that are telling them, you should do this. And those people usually have great intentions.
Call that again. They've
been
what?
shoulded on.
Shoulded on.
They've been
okay.
shoulded on. And so, what that can look like is you should focus on your career and then start a family. For me, it was, you went to school to be a therapist, so you should do that. Why are you looking for entrepreneurship? Well, the danger in that is that although they have great intentions, God didn't give them the vision.
Right.
And so it may not make sense to them. And if you get entangled in being, attached to what it is that somebody else is telling that you should do, or getting in your own way and convincing yourself that you should do something, you can either miss God or actually delay getting where it is that you're supposed to be.
Yeah, I read a meme this week that said, when God called you and gave you a vision, he didn't make it a conference call.
Yes.
And so it's
no
really
conference calls.
It's between you and God, the things that God has said. I think people have good intentions often, and they want to say you should, because they feel that it's an opportunity to encourage somebody else and to say, affirm, you've been really good at this, so why are you trying to do something else? But the truth is that gifted people are rarely just gifted in one area of life.
Yes.
And so you often see people that were really good in one area ascribe and climb to do something else. And you wonder what made you shift to do something different? What made you change?
Right.
And the truth is that when they get comfortable and get really good at something, they should be looking for the very next thing to accomplish.
Absolutely. So this is getting good, you guys. We're going to take another quick break, and we'll be back with even more.
Ready for a gotcha.
Hey guys, I am so excited to share something really cool with you. There's an organization called Black Christian Influencers that has some amazing people. Some that you may know, some that you may not, but they all are doing some amazing work in the kingdom. So if you can, go on over to the page at Black Christian Influencers, or you can visit the website at www.blackchristianinfluencers.com.
Are you looking for ways to support the God Shift movement and others in need? Grab one of our premium tees at agodshift.com/shop, and we will donate 20% of the sales to the National Christian Foundation. These t-shirts are made of 100% premium soft cotton, come in white women's fit and black traditional fit, and are available in sizes extra small through 4X. It's time to embrace disruption, collide with God's purpose, and confidently shift into the next chapter of your life. Share your shift with the world by proudly wearing a God Shift t-shirt. Grab one for yourself and those you love at agodshift.com/shop.
It's time to move. Your next chapter is waiting now. It may be difficult, but it's gonna be worth it all. Get ready for a God shift, calling you higher, calling for greater. It's time to move. Your next chapter is waiting now. It may be difficult, but it's gonna be worth it all. Get ready for a God shift.
Welcome back. Man, when I tell you that this conversation on overcoming disruption is good. So, one of the things that I know in my own life when I have been faced with disruption is that I have really felt like that disruption was going to destroy me. What I recognize on the other side of my disruption, and when I really think about what the word tells us, we know that that disruption is really not designed to destroy you, but it's designed to develop you. So Pastor Mia, I'm curious. So we have somebody who is embracing that disruption. What are some of the things that they can do to really make sure that it actually is something that becomes a development and doesn't just destroy them and keep them stuck?
I like that a lot. Let's unpack it just a bit.
Absolutely.
Because when you're in the thick of things, sometimes that's all you can see. And the story, or the saying is that you can't see the forest before the trees. a lot of times people are in the midst of crises in their life, something that has completely disrupted their manner of living, their manner of thinking, every aspect of their lives. And so it's difficult to see that there is something on the other side. It's difficult to see that there is a pathway that is been laid out before you, and it's difficult to see how will you get to that right pathway. So I think one of the very first things that most people need to do is to stop, assess, and pray. And prayer not to stop us to waiting on this long thing from God, but the prayer is to help to clear out whatever biases you may have about being in that moment, as well as whatever fears you may have to overcome what is happening in that moment. And once we prayer gives us this opening. It gives us a pathway that we can really respond to God. We can sense more than just what we see. We begin to sense in the spiritual realm and see that it's a faith thing. It's things that are bigger than what we can actually articulate in our own pathway or in our ways or words. And so the first thing is really to kind of take a pause, right? So you pause and pray and assess where you are. But then the second thing is really to have faith to see where you would like to go. So if you have lost a loved one, I mean, that's one of the most tremendous things that can happen in a person's life, experiences. It can be very traumatic. You lose someone that you're depending upon, someone that you're having hopes for, maybe a spouse or a child. That can be so traumatic that a lot of times people don't see how they will overcome or recover from that type of trauma. But yet, when they see themselves, what do I want to be? I want to be happy. I want to be joyful. I want to see this trauma relieved, this pain gone. So you have to begin to see yourself in another place. And seeing yourself in those positions in other places gives you kind of a way to get there. And that's how God can speak to you then.
Yeah.
Because when you get so heavy burdened, so dark, so deep, it's hard for God, even God, to get a word into your spirit, right?
And I love that you say that, because if we don't know who we are, and more importantly, we don't know what we want, it's very difficult to be able to determine whether or not we're actually getting closer in the direction that it is that we're going. Because I think it's one thing for us to tell someone, like, here's how you do this and how you do that. But if you are not clear on who it is that you are and what it is that you want, how do you even know if you're going in the right direction?
That's right. And, well, another thing, and this perhaps adds to that, is how do we celebrate those little small markers in life, right? So a lot of times people are looking for the big far end, moving from A to Z, but we're not celebrating going A to B,
Absolutely.
B to C. And so
Celebrate those milestones.
those little small markers and those milestones, because one moves you to the next and the next moves you to the next. And so many times we can't get to each space if we're not celebrating. We're waiting for the whole big picture. So celebrate those small milestones that are coming in your life.
I love that. You know, I was a therapist in a past life, and I used to tell my patients that, you know, you really have to have your eye on what it is that you're going to do long term, but you can't lose sight of the fact that you can do more today than what you did yesterday. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for adding to this conversation. And I pray that God continue to bless your life, bless you and your husband's ministry and your organization as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shayna. May God bless you with a great God shift.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll be right back.
Ready for a God shift, God shift.
Get lost in the pages of our latest book and discover the destiny you were created for. Another dimension of possibility awaits you, but a God shift is required to reveal it and access it. In A God Shift, a divine move from disruption to destiny, Shayna Rattler takes you on the journey of how she turned a once highly successful business that failed fast and left her questioning where God was taking her next into a thriving ministry and fulfilling life that affords her the opportunity to help others grow their faith and successfully navigate the seasons of life. This inspirational guide outlines the steps to confidently put your God shift in motion. Your next chapter is waiting. Are you ready to shift? Grab your copy at agodshiftbook.com. Are you looking for ways to support the God Shift movement and others in need? Grab one of our premium tees at agodshift.com/shop, and we will donate 20% of the sales to the National Christian Foundation. These t-shirts are made of 100% premium soft cotton, come in white women's fit and black traditional fit, and are available in sizes extra small through 4X. It's time to embrace disruption, collide with God's purpose, and confidently shift into the next chapter of your life. Share your shift with the world by proudly wearing a God Shift t-shirt. Grab one for yourself and those you love at agodshift.com/shop.
Let's be honest. Making a lukewarm marketing video is fairly simple. But who wants lukewarm marketing? Instead, how about something that conveys your unique message? Well, that takes creativity, and creative is what we are. We design custom logos. We even offer professional print services. Our goal is to showcase how good your idea is, no matter what your product is. Whether it's social media marketing for a new author or the artwork for the book itself, we can help. You've created a new app and need a TV commercial to show it to the world. We can help.
Now they're Stork Advisor.
If you're a photographer trying to show off your work in a unique way, we can help. Need a promo for your TV show? We can help with that too.
It's Couch Time with Sonia.
We're an artistic bunch and we love the creative process. We're not trying to be the best in Houston. We're trying to be the best for you.
Get ready for a God shift.
On today's show, my guest Pastor Mia and I discussed how we can overcome disruption and confidently enter into the next chapter of your life. We also talked about how faith and fear can actually compete with one another when you are on your way to destiny. Remember that fear is staying stuck when you don't have all the answers, and faith is moving forward even when you can't see the way. If you are experiencing unexpected circumstances in your life and you want to know how to get unstuck into where God needs you next, download our free guide, When God Says Shift, at godsayshift.com. Thank you so much for watching this episode, and be sure to come back next week because it gets even better. Take care. Bye-bye.